the Jubilee?
On this one, there's been a little bit of mixed, mixed performance, because there's a sense in which there is the activities that were passed on to devolution rather very early. For example, health. The reason why we have health challenges today is just because, for some reason, it was hurriedly devolved. Of course, the danger then is that people are going to fight back to bring back those services to the center rather than to ensure that the processes work. Right. So that one is true. And then there's also been a little bit of too much suspicion between the county governments and the national government. The relationship hasn't been very good. Right. The chemistry hasn't worked very well. There are a number of meetings that have not been held, which were very, very constitutional and mandatory. The summit, the intergovernmental relations group came a little late. So there is a sense in which, on that score, I think devolution and the national government haven't worked out very well. It is something that is going to be really contested going forward. Who then says they are champions of devolution and who wants to take it to what point? And is devolution just about the amount of money you take down? Absolutely not.
That's an important question you raised. Daisy, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, because these others are saying 45% of the funds from the national government will be devolved. The others say, well, we've surpassed the 15%. They put it at, was it 30, 39, thereabouts. Is devolution, or does the person that says they are the champions of devolution just talk about more money that's going to the counties?
Unfortunately, with our politicians, money is the crux of the matter. It's not about service delivery or function. And I think that for Jubilee, being the first administration under the new constitution, failed the test of courage, you know, in being able to help Kenya properly transition into devolution. There was the constitution envisioned a 3-year phased transfer of functions, and of course with the functions the money follows. But this big bang devolution, the question that is on everybody's mind is that, did they go for big bang devolution so as to cause the kind of confusion that would make people want to, you know, return certain functions back to the center, or was it because they couldn't stomach the push and pull? Because remember, the governors were
also asked for more time.
The Transitional Authority asked for more time, and they were quite frustrated in a lot of the work that they were doing. Some of the mess that we see right now in some of these sectors, particularly the health sector, agriculture, is because of that big bang devolution, you know, not properly ensuring that functions and that you lay the proper foundation for the functions and before then the funds flow to the counties. Now, you can see even from Jubilee's manifesto, it still remains very national-centered, you know. They are focusing a lot. Some of the things that they are committing to do are actually devolved functions, and they are not talking about how they are going to work together with the county governments to be able to achieve this, you know. So those are some of the things that we need to look at. Health, which is a shared function, agriculture, which is also a shared function. You can see that there's a lot of focus on that. Now, the failure of some of the meetings to take place, like the summit, where I imagine that they would bring a more cohesion in terms of development, aligning the integrated county development plans to Vision 2030 and everything else. You know, this there's a lot that remains, you know, undone, and really needs to be locked down in terms of being able to see successful administration of devolution in Kenya. And we're not seeing any commitment. We're not seeing commitment on their part, you know, for that. I know that with the NASA, there's a lot of excitement about 45% of government budgets, you know, being allocated to the county governments. But if we look at performance, the way the county governments have been performing, the accountability, the governance systems, we still haven't locked that down. We need a better focus on that, because devolution has the opportunity to actually transform this country. Or bring it down.
Or bring it down, corruption, can we talk about that one? It's been a big one in the course of the Jubilee administration. They're going to be saying, I imagine, that they have done quite a bit when it comes to that multi-agency task force. You know, Uhuru Kenyatta will say, look, when there was a whiff of corruption in my cabinet, I asked all of them to step aside. There's ongoing court cases. There's over 300 cases to do with corruption. And, you know, government officials that are in the courts.
Well,
Javas,
first
have they done enough?
Devolution, of course, is a new frontier to Kenya's development, and that, to that extent, we appreciate. However, also under this new frontier, we find ourselves entangled in corruption, and that's a sad thing. In fact, if we look at how corrupt things and institutions and people continue to be in this country, I think in Kenya, I must rise to say that we need the biggest pity party in the world. Because from the time when, in 2002, after the NAC administration's election and success thereof, we were voted as the most optimistic people on earth.
That's true.
On earth. Optimism was our second name. Now, come to even this period after the 2013 elections, the president took to the stage, impressively so, when he addressed the nation, and in an attempt to purge graft, even asked Parliament to take some measures on various public officials that he mentioned. To this day, it remains a commitment that is only mouth deep, whether it's on the part of government or even actually leaders.
But surely, what more could the president have done? Okay, besides the fact that EACC still does not have prosecutorial powers, which was one of the promises that they made. But this is what he's saying. He had his list of shame, 175 names in that State of the Nation address in 2015, and all of these cases that are before them, including members of his own cabinet, that this is now up to the judiciary, that surely the president cannot go into the judiciary and start telling the judges, this is how you must rule, make sure you jail all of these people. Now, what more could he have done, in your view?
I'll tell you this, I'm not poking my finger, at the president, into the president's eye. In fact, any person who lays the blame squarely on the president, on matters graft, purely, is somebody, I think, who is engaging in sadistic pleasure of political proportions just for purposes of, gratifying their own political inclination. That should not be the case. It's not a question of just the president alone. Here we are looking at other institutions that have been created by statutes, by the Constitution, etc. Yes, there is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, there is the place of the judiciary, etc. But even much more so, there is the place of the citizen himself or herself. Yes, there is the role that we need to play by appreciating the values that we have as a nation. Values about which we have not even sunk our teeth deeper into them. We are not even appreciating them. So not just a question of that.
Okay.
So here I'm looking at the place of every institution playing their part to try and curb graft. In fact, actually, every citizen should be an anti-corruption czar in his or her own right. So the thing is this, Jubilee could have done much in terms of just at times speaking to some of these issues, for example.
Okay. Hold that thought, Javas, just one moment, because we understand that Senator Anyang' Nyong'o of Kisumu County is holding a press conference at the moment. He is reacting to the Jubilee Manifesto that is being launched at the moment. And yeah, the reactions are coming in, even though that process is not done. This will be an interesting one, yes. And my panelists are a little puzzled about why this reaction is coming out at this point in time. As soon as we get that with you, we will let you know. So should he be reacting, Martin?
Absolutely not. But
he should wait?
No, he should be waiting. I mean, patience pays. But I was going to say that corruption isn't going to go away, whether Jubilee loses or not, whether NASA takes over or not. Corruption
so what are we going to do?
Corruption is a very fabric that turns this nation's politics.
But shouldn't there be a champion?
Just wait.
Shouldn't there be a champion, Martin? A president, a party that leads this cause?
I'm coming to it. It's the very fabric that turns this country's politics.
All right, I'm sorry. Please hold that thought. Okay. We have Anyang' Nyong'o now, the senator for Kisumu County. Let's listen to his reactions to the Jubilee Manifesto that's being launched.
Kenya was once the envy of all our neighbors, but Ethiopia overtook us last month as the region's top economy. Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania are also pulling out from energy and infrastructure projects. They are now going it alone, or in partnership with each other. Look at the partnership between Uganda and Tanzania, or the railroad construction between those two countries. Our standard gauge railway is no longer going to Uganda and Rwanda because, of course, our cost of constructing that road is too high. And we're paying for it. Nobody wants to come join us in looking after that heavy debt. So the bad choices our leaders make and what is leading our country, not in transforming our society, but down the pipeline of underdevelopment and indebtedness. Thank you.
All right, so we'll get more of this a little later. That's Senator Anyang' Nyong'o, whom my panel says needs to be a little bit more patient. Okay. In fact, incidentally, Senator Anyang' Nyong'o will be back with Joe Ageo a little later on. I'd just like us to have, closing comments. We have 3 minutes, I'm sorry, so that means a minute each. Martin, I'll start with you. I know you were talking about corruption, but even as you wind up with that, could you talk to us about how Jubilee can start to make this manifesto, how we can get optimistic about it? What is that one thing they would say? Because some people are saying, you can talk about SGR you like. Is that big snake that runs through the country? And like, do Kenyans feel it? Or what are some of those things that you would expect to hear? Because CSs are talking now that would capture the imagination, the heart and the attention of Kenyans. And likewise for NASA tomorrow. You
see, the issue about Kenyans is that they are looking for hope, and they're looking for promise, and they're looking for better livelihoods. So when you talk to them about their children, you talk to them about education, you talk to them about their health, and you talk to them about their food security, as long as you can show them how this is going to be translated into action, you are likely to be appealing to them. You are likely to be appealing to their emotions, appealing to their needs and to their wants. And as a country, we've said that we want to look at sustainability. So when you look at sustainability, just show Kenyans how achievable and how sustainable the proposals that you're making or the promises that you're making are going to be. So basically, again, we must say that at the end of the day, they are making a promise. But you, as a Kenyan, you have the opportunity to make the decision. Okay. You can judge them for what they are saying, and you can also give them a chance for what you think. Similarly, tomorrow, other people will come, NASA will come, they will be making promises. They're actually speaking to you as a Kenyan. So it's up to you to make that decision. Absolutely. What's the one promise, Daisy, for you? And I think I already know what you're going to say, but I want to hear it from you anyway. What's the one promise that President Uhuru Kenyatta will make tonight and that he has to fulfill if he gets the mandate by 2022?
For me, the one promise that I think the president needs to make, must make to Kenyans for the sake of this country is how they are going to deal with corruption. Because corruption is the cancer that is eating away at this nation. And not just corruption in name. We want to hear from the president how they're going to stop this, the conflict of interest that we continually see between politics and, government tendering, government procurement that constantly holds the country back, that it increases, triples the cost of, doing business in Kenya. Actually, all these things go to corruption. The issue of corruption, that is the one thing I want to hear from him, because unless we deal with corruption, we will not be able to position Kenya for comparative advantage. Okay. The cost of doing business in Kenya has become very, very high, and the root cause of it is corruption that is mainly driven by the conflict of interest that we see politicians, the incestuous relationship between politics and government procurement. And of course, how they are going to achieve the gender issue. Yes, yes, indeed.
Well, for me, I think for more than 213 years since our nation's founding, Kenyans have continued to live in the jungle of dissatisfaction of government services and operation. What is important, what is proper, is that of course, political parties, through their manifestos, should not just give hope, the kind of hope that they actually themselves know that they cannot satisfy.
So temper the expectations of Kenyans.
And also Kenyans need to step up onto the stage and see how to hold political parties and governments to account. Because the challenge is this. To this moment, Kenyans are not holding even guys to account who hold whatever kind of public office.
Absolutely, and that's a good place to finish that. Javas Bigambo, Daisy Amdanyi, and Martin Olo. On this 26th day of June, Monday 2017, 42 days to the election, Jubilee launching its manifesto tonight. That is the focus. Cabinet Secretary is still speaking, but we here at Kivumbi2017 also carrying on with our poll. Lofty Matambo, I hope things have settled down now and you have a vote result for us, particularly when it comes to the involvement of youth in manifestos such as the one tonight. Lofty?
Asante sana Zubeda, kusema kweli hakijawahi kuwa moto kama hivi kivumbi hapa katika sehemu hii ya Makongeni na ubunge la Makadara, na kwa kweli wacha nishirikishe makamishna wangu hapa katika tume huru ya uchaguzi bila mipaka ya KTN News. Shem, nataka utuelezee kama matokeo haya ndio ya kweli baada ya kura hizi za huru na haki. Utuambie tu kama ni ya ukweli, tuulize pia Bwana Levis, alafu baadaye tupatie matangazo.
Matokeo haya ni ya kweli kabisa.
Kabisa. Aha, kamishna wetu wa pili.
Naam, pia nasema matokeo yako sambamba. Hakuna wizi uliotokea.
Naam. Wapiga kura mpo? Tupo! Vijana mpo? Tupo! Haya, moja kwa moja nafikiri Bwana Shem unaweza kututangazia matokeo yale. Haya. Haya.
Leo kwa nia vyeo imepata kura 28. Kubuni sera 49. Kuzuia ghasia 53. Kuleta mabadiliko 283.
Asante sana. Naam, asante sana mtazamaji. Hivyo ndivyo matokeo yalivyotokea, kwamba wale waliopiga kura kwamba vijana wanatumika kuleta mabadiliko ni 283. Swali lilikuwa ni je, unahisi vijana wanatumikaje kisiasa? Kwa hivyo kumbuka katika eneo hili la Makadara tatizo moja ni makazi, na kama ilivyo katika manifesto ya Jubilee ni kwamba watahakikisha kwamba makazi mijini na vijijini yanaimarishwa, nyumba ndogo ndogo kubomolewa na kujengwa kubwa, na vile vile maji hapa ni tatizo sugu. Kwa hivyo nitachukua maoni moja tu ya mwisho hapa kabla ya kuregesha studioni moja kwa moja. Jina lako, unaitwa nani, na tuelezee mmepiga mabadiliko kwamba mnatumia kuleta mabadiliko. Ni mabadiliko gani hapa ambayo mmeyaleta nyinyi?
Mabadiliko yetu tunaleta kwa hii mtaani. Kwa majina naitwa Sylvester Dere, mkaaji wa hapa. Nimezaliwa hapa Makongeni, nikalelewa hapa. Kwa hivyo shida ya Makongeni ilikuwa mambo ya maji, manyumba, choo, mambo ya vio, yale yote ambao serikali inasema ijatusaidia.
Mmepigia kura kwamba mnatumika kuleta mabadiliko. Je, mwatumika vipi kuleta mabadiliko katika sehemu ulizotaja nyie kama vijana wa Makongeni?
Viongozi huwa watuambia kwamba wanatupa mabadiliko, huwa watuambia kwamba watatubadilishia kitu fulani. Lakini baadaye wakishafika pale ndani wanatugeuka kabisa.
Asante sana.
Lakini sasa shida ni moja. Unga tu ndiye hakuna mtaani.
Asante sana. Shukran sana. Naam, asanteni sana. Naam, mtazamaji, kufikia hapo sina la ziada. Tutakuwa tunafunga kituo hiki rasmi cha kupigia kura cha Makongeni. Nimekuwa wako Lofty Matambo, nasema asante sana kwa wote waliofanikisha mpango mzima wa wapigaji kura wangu, wapigaji picha wangu, Hebron pamoja na Boni. Tumekuwa na OT wote wakifanya kazi nzuri kabisa hapa. Mwelekezi wetu Sevia Ouma pamoja na wanasa sauti, fundi mitambo wote. Nasema shukran za dhati vile vile kwa niaba ya mwenzangu Zubeida Kome ambaye amefanya kazi kuntu kabisa kuhakikisha kwamba matangazo hayo yanakwenda sawa kabisa. Naregesha mitambo studioni kwake Zinzi Kibiku pamoja na Hassan Juma waweze kutujulisha mambo yanakwendaje katika mitandao ya kijamii kule. Asante sana.
Asante sana Lofty Matambo Chebukati. Huo ndio Chebukati wetu.
Quite a lot of excitement over there where he is.
Na kuna baridi kwa hivyo lazima upate nini kidogo usio.
All right, so as the polling was happening there on the ground, we are also remembering that we have an entire audience on the digital platform and we are keeping an eye on that, all right? So like we said, these are just some of the feedback that we've been getting from some of you. Hassan, would you like to have a read at this one?
Nianzie hii Obed Magana anasema uhusiano na majirani wanaunga yet sisi tuko njaa, kwani tutatoa wapi nguvu ya kushirikiana pamoja na nchi jirani?
Haya, Bill Mumo says no projects which are complete are white elephant and those not complete are used as campaign tool to promise better delivery if elected. All right. There's one conversation here that we tweeted, of course, from that conversation of Yvonne. One person said Kenyans are not asking the hard questions whether it is Jubilee or Nasaj. So Javas had said that, to which Derek replied and said, we need democracy. Okay.
Moja tu, Kenya says it's like marrying a second wife.
And
promising her a bungalow while first wife lives in a kibanda. Wajua kibanda nini?
Jubilee Manifesto Live.
Kibanda.
Of course. Okay. So make sure you're tweeting and using the hashtag Kivumbi2017. That is how Hassan and I will be able to track your comments in regards to this manifesto launch that we're seeing. Of course, Jubilee has just launched theirs today. Okay.
Tuangalie vipimo.
Okay, sawa. All right. Let's do that very, very quickly. We're just reminding you of our question.
Naam, je, vijana wanatumikaje katika siasa? Je, vijana wanatumikaje katika siasa? Walipiga kura 6% wanasema kubuni sera, 14% wanasema kuleta mabadiliko, 49% kuzua ghasia, huku 31% wakisema kusisimua campaign.
Okay. All right, so we're going to take a short, quick break here on KTN News and make way for the 9 p.m. bulletin. This is Kivumbi 2017.